Hi guys, how's it going? My name is Tamara and recently I started watching Top Gear, the Grand Tour, everything that with those cast members, Jeremy Clarkson, James May and Richard Hammond, my favorite. Also started playing with ChatGPT and creating fake images like these because it's so much fun and it's really interesting how ChatGPT works. And also, I decided to give ChatGPT an idea for the fan fiction. Basically, me, Ukrainian girl, travels to Wales from America. Her car breaks down. She walks to the shop, the smallest cog, which is actual Richard Hammond's workshop. And one thing goes after another. And I'm going to read you one of the parts. It's the funny parts. It does have Jeremy Clarkson and James May in it, and there's a little bit of a situation. Yeah, like most of it was written by ChatGPT, which is kind of scary, but also very fascinating to me because it's got mind of its own, and it wrote this in seconds after I just did it. So, sit tight, relax, and prepare for a funny ride. Hammond! A booming voice shouted from outside. "Open up, you tiny man!" Richard's eyes went wide. "No," he breathed. You burst into laughter, trying and failing to muffle it with your hand. Another voice joined in, drier, slightly exasperated. "We know you're in there." You stared at him. "Who is that?" He exhaled like a man facing destiny. "That would be trouble, the tall, loud variety." The banging resumed. "Hammond!" Recognition flickered in his expression, half dread, half fondness. You scrambled for the bedsheet, wrapping it around yourself as he sat up, running a hand through his hair. The knock came again, accompanied by a muffled laughter. Through the window you heard it clearly. "Come on, Hammond, we brought beer!" That was when it clicked. You slid out of bed, padding toward the window just enough to peek through the curtain. Standing outside were two unmistakable figures, one tall and theatrical, the other slightly rumpled and quietly amused. You turned slowly to Richard. "Is that—" "Yes," he sighed. Outside stood Jeremy Clarkson and James May, his former partners in automotive chaos from Top Gear. And you were in Richard's bed. Very, very undressed. "Tell me," you said, barely containing your grin, "that they have no idea I'm here." He gave you a look. Another knock, louder. "Hammond, if you're dead, we're taking the cars." Richard groaned. "That's Clarkson, subtle as a bulldozer." You leaned in, kissing him quietly, teasingly. "Go answer the door." "You are enjoying this far too much." "Absolutely." He pulled on jeans at record speed and padded down the hallway while you slipped into one of his shirts. It swallowed you, smelling faintly of oil and clean cotton. You stayed just out of sight but close enough to hear. The door opened. "Well," Clarkson boomed, "you look disheveled." "Mid-afternoon nap?" James added mildly. "I was resting," Richard said defensively. "With enthusiasm?" Clarkson shot back. You stepped in the doorway then, calm and unapologetic. Three pairs of eyes turned to you. There's a peculiar silence that happens when surprise collides with curiosity. Clarkson blinked. James tilted his head thoughtfully. Richard looked like a man reconsidering all of his life choices. You offered a warm smile. "Hello." Clarkson recovered first. "Ah, that explains everything." James nodded. "Indeed, the mystery is solved." Richard pointed vaguely at them. "You two weren't meant to be here." Clarkson grinned. "Surprise visit, we missed you." You watched the dynamic unfold, the teasing, the history in their tone. Fame suddenly felt less abstract. You'd known Richard was recognized, but seeing the trio in one place, the chemistry crackling even in the doorway, made it real. Still, none of it changed how you felt about Richard. You walked over and slipped your hand into Richard's. His fingers tightened around yours instinctively. Clarkson noticed. Of course he did. Well, he said, a hint of approval in his voice. She looks far more interesting than you. That's statistically certain, you replied lightly. James gave a small smile. I like her. Richard glanced at you, relief and pride mingling in his expression. The afternoon turned into beer in the garden, stories told loudly and contradicted immediately. You listened, fascinated by the mythology of their shared past. But you also noticed something else. When the laughter faded between anecdotes, Richard's attention always drifted back to you. Not to the cameras that weren't there, not to the legacy of Top Gear, to you. Yeah. So that's part of it. There's like 35 more pages of this. I mean, obviously I could... It got to the point where he got into another accident, of course, and yeah, there's like a lot more to it, and there's the wedding, and there's life in Wales and whatnot, and obviously it's fan fiction, but I don't know, like I actually enjoyed reading this. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, I gave ChatGPT ideas, and yeah, and I can just ran through there, yeah, ChatGPT. And also, here's the thing, I don't know if you guys know this, but because of the limitations, like you can't have just one account. Instead of paying like, what is it, 150, 500 a year, I can't remember, but it's a ridiculous amount. So instead of paying for the premium account, you can just have like different accounts with different email that you have. So I have 4 different accounts and I use 4 different emails because that's me. I have different emails for every little thing. Like one is my acting one, another one is personal one, and 2 more are from my previous jobs. So, and one is for OnlyFans. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, like just don't get premium, use free accounts. Free, like you can have as many free accounts as you like. So in case you didn't know. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today and listening to me trying my darnest to speak in British accent and to make their impressions. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.